for being here today with us. For those who don't know me, my name is Ray. I'll be your host for today. I'm the founder of Raise Your Mental Health, and I'm so excited to be hosting the event today and moderating the panel discussion. So I hope you make the best out of today, because our goal for you is to take as much insights as possible so you could thrive at your businesses. Having said that, how to create a digital presence to our brands? That's a question that many of us try to either Google, research, or have a discussions on. We have today Alyssa from Stalk to let us know all about that topic. Please extend a warm welcome to Alyssa, and please come to the stage. A warm welcome. Yes, please, more excitement today. Thank you for being here. So nice to see you. We're looking forward to hear about your topic.
Awesome. Hi everyone, I'm Alyssa, as you kindly introduced, from Stalk. So just to give you a quick summary before we start, we're a digital marketing agency. So I'll be speaking today about how you can grow a digital presence for your brand. Whether you're starting from scratch or whether it's something that you're already in process of doing, it's totally fine. The slides I've prepared will be relevant and very detailed for all of you. So let's get started. So I've basically broken this down into the pillars that you should consider as part of growing your digital presence. And the 5 pillars that I've broken down that into is audience persona, which we'll cover in detail, engaging content and what engaging content even means and how you can create that, channels, so looking at and understanding what channels you should be investing in when it comes to the digital world, budgets, so understanding what kind of budgets you should be investing. Again, this is a very common question that we get from clients, which is how much should I be investing, what should I start with, what kind of pricing strategy should I have. And then finally the team, which is essentially covering who you should be hiring to execute this, what your digital team should look like, whether you should have in-house, agency, a combination of both. So we're going to go through these in order, and that should hopefully cover all of your questions about how to grow a digital presence for your brand. I do try to keep my sessions very interactive, so if you've got any questions, even while I'm presenting, please ask me. We don't have to keep questions to the end. If something comes to mind and it's relevant for your brand, it's much better that I go through a case study with you than just talk at you. So feel free to pop your hand up if you've got any questions as I go along. Right, so first of all, let's cover a social marketer's top goals for social. Based on our research and just based on the feedback we get from our clients, most of you would be looking to increase your brand awareness, generate sales or leads in some sort, increase your community engagement, so try to get reshares, try to get reposts, grow your brand's audience, so that's usually, again, another pillar that you consider, or increase web traffic. So we're assuming that, again, 99% of you are looking to cover one or more of these points through a digital presence. So just to go back now to the first question, or the first pillar, if you like, what persona does your target market have? So this is a very, very important question and different from who's your target audience. I could ask you who your target audience is, and maybe you describe them to me in terms of their gender or in terms of their age range, in terms of their nationality, but that's not covering persona. And what we often find is brands don't actually understand the persona of their audience and who those people are. By persona, I mean, where do those people hang out? What do they do outside of purchasing your products or services? How do they behave online? Do they tend to browse online and shop in store? Do they tend to browse online and shop online too? So it's just really understanding and building out their character before even investing in campaigns or thinking about how to target them. A really good example I can give you would be, again, let's take an FMCG brand, just for argument's sake. So somebody who would be eating at McDonald's typically would probably be going to Starbucks to get their coffee. And that's how McCafe was actually born, because they understood that outside of coming to dine at McDonald's, their customer base were actually then buying coffee from Starbucks. So it's really looking at, outside your business, what are the personas of your character, and where do they shop, and where do they hang out? And the reason why that's important is because that's going to then open a whole realm of ideas for you as to how to target them. You can approach those brands for collaborations. You can approach your target market with cross collaborations and promotions and hampers for them. So really getting a 360 view of how your customers behave 9 to 5 outside of just purchasing your products is going to really help you with coming up with campaign ideas, coming up with taglines, knowing what engages them and what products they're interested in, and also knowing which other brands to partner with that would be beneficial for you. So do have a go at this exercise if you've not done so already, and try to build a full character of a person as if you're describing a friend, from their personality to shopping habits, instead of just the usual demographic, age range, and nationality. So that's the first thing that should be established. And here's just a visual representation of that. Looking at their aspirations, looking at their reading and social media habits. Do they hang out on LinkedIn? Do they hang out on Instagram? Do they mostly use Twitter? Factors in their purchasing decision. Are they price sensitive? Are they interested in aesthetics? Do they buy whatever they purchase for moral reasons? So again, a huge factor or a huge reason why Nike's campaigns are successful is because they understood that in order to penetrate the millennial generation, they need to create emotive content around feminism, around empowering the youth. And that's what's really captured their attention with teenagers and above. So understanding what's important to them, or important to your market in this case, is very, very important from a moral standpoint and should shape your communication online. Key influences is basically that. Keywords and phrases really, really come down, again, from what I've just discussed, and boiling that down to what trigger words would appeal to them. Again, whether that's feminism, whether that's religion, whether that's ethos, really understanding what's important to your target market. Pain points that they have, and daily routines. Daily routines is very, very important because the timing of your posts, so when your post goes out, when your videos go out, whether it's morning, afternoon, weekends, evenings, can make a huge difference as to how much exposure your ads or your posts get. So really understanding if you're targeting a working professional, an at-home mum, a student, makes a huge difference, and a whole world of a difference as to when you should be scheduling your posts. So we've broken it down into these pillars, but the whole idea is to really understand your persona's behavior, and when it's best to interact with them, and when they actually have the time to view your content and are relaxed. So here's just an example summary of what this exercise could look like for your company. Looking at their goals, looking at their frustrations, understanding the biography, almost CV, of your customer base, preferred channels, other brands and influencers in their life, so other brands that really resonate with them. And motivation. What is their motivation to buy? Again, is it sustainability? Is it aesthetic? Is it because a celebrity's wearing it? Is it because a certain school is endorsing it, which means a lot to them? Is it because of the quality of the paper? There's so many factors that we shouldn't assume that they all fall into one category. And really understanding that is important. The way you can start this exercise is literally by taking some of your most loyal customers, reaching out to them and asking them if they'd be happy to have a chat with you. And I don't mean a survey, because surveys are boring. No one wants to tick boxes. Also, you're not really going to get authentic answers and be able to read someone's true response through a survey. You want to actually interview them. It might just be 5 to 10 people to begin with. That will already shape and give you a good indication of some of these points, and you will see some similarities. If you need to incentivize them, again, offer them a gift, a promotion, a hamper, a promo code, whatever you think would work. But do have these conversations with customers, because we find that often it's the blue-collar workers that have that interaction and not management staff. And there's always a gap between an understanding. So to fill this out and to make it easier for you, just have conversations with your customers, and you're going to discover so much that you didn't know before, which will really help with your marketing and communication strategies online. So, second point, is your content engaging? Engaging content as a phrase has been thrown around quite a lot in the past recent years, but I appreciate that for some people that's not clear. What is engaging content? Does engaging content mean video content? Does it mean funny content? So again, the answer is it depends on your brand. So here's basically 41 types of content marketing that sells. Engaging content is really down to, again, having a think about what keeps your target market and the persona of that target market interested. Throwing facts at them, promoting your products overtly is very overdone online. Offering 2-for-1 promos with a picture of your product and expecting them to buy has no emotional connection. What brands are doing very, very well now to get ahead of the game is building emotional connections with their customers. So again, ways to do that. If I go back to the Nike example, instead of selling shoes, or in your case, instead of selling stationery, sell the idea of a campaign. So again, with Nike, they were promoting disabled Olympic runners with their shoes. They were promoting people of ethnic minority with their shoes. They were setting up CSR campaigns. So you don't have to take that approach, and obviously this is more on a larger scale because they're multinational, but it's a brand that we can all relate to and who very, very smartly have managed to keep their sales consistent without promoting shoes at all. So again, from a communication side, think about what value do your products and services bring beyond just buying them. Does it make them feel happy? Does it make them feel rewarded? What goes inside that envelope? What goes inside that letter? So what can be written with that pen that they purchase from you if you are selling stationery? So really go beyond just the product and think of a story of what then happens with that product and how that's put to use. And that's when you'll start getting more ideas for engaging content and emotive content. We always want to build emotions with brands, and that's what's going to keep them loyal to you, not just selling pen and paper, not just selling your products and asking them to shop now or buy now. So now, just kind of taking a holistic approach to digital marketing, I just want to talk a bit about the channels, because again, this is a question that we often get from clients, which is, what channels should I invest in? Obviously, outside of social media, there's email marketing, there's Google Ads, there's SEO. How do you know what to invest in what quantities, and whether it's relevant to you? So here are just a couple of examples from lead generation to newsletters to videos. The idea here really, and again this will fall quite heavily into budgets, is to first understand, once you've interviewed some of your customers, what their main touch point is, and based on your budgets, focus on some of the key touch points. That could be 1 channel or that could be 6. It really depends on your budget. But I highly recommend that if you have a constrained budget, do 2 very well and consistently rather than 6 minimally. because consistency is key. There's no point in sending one emailer every year and then remembering in 2023 that you ought to send a second one. There's no point in posting once a month on Instagram and then expecting results from that. So it's all about consistency, and it's totally fine. Don't be overwhelmed by how detailed this is. It's totally fine to just take one channel that you're confident in, your customers will be reachable on, and really investing in that. Investing in the ads, investing in consistent posts, investing in the communication. Regularity is key. And far more effective than spreading yourself thin and trying to explore all channels. If you do have a higher budget and you're able to create a full digital plan, really think about that sales funnel first. So it's not about just sending out emailers, running campaigns online, promoting your website in random orders. It's about understanding the touch points. Where's the first place that you'll be able to communicate with a customer? How can you then retarget them? After that, should you send a push notification through SMS? This comes more into the customer journey, and it does fall into sales as well, but understanding the customer journey and where to upsell will then shape this plan for you, and knowing what order it should be in. So customer touch points are very, very important and should be mapped out way before any of these channels are invested in. The next pillar is channels to invest in. So, as we know, even with social media alone, we've got YouTube as a platform, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, we've got LinkedIn, and it can be quite overwhelming for brands to know which ones are relevant to them. Broadly speaking, corporate brands will perform better on LinkedIn and Twitter, and consumer brands will perform better on Instagram and then potentially TikTok and Snapchat, depending on the demographic. So again, it's about taking a step back and knowing who you're targeting and where they tend to seek information and where they enjoy spending their spare time. So it really just comes down to personality, which should help you decide which of these channels you should be investing in and which one not. So again, fresh and up-to-date blogs, good on-page SEO, Google My Business listings, visual appealing, user-friendly websites. This is all very, very important, but first and foremost, understand where your customers seek information. That's really, really important. And you can literally just ask them. Again, if you interview them and ask them, which apps do you use to keep track of the news? Which apps do you use or social platforms do you use when you're browsing in your spare time after work? Just have conversations with them, and it will very, very much help you shape the structure and basis of your digital plan and how it should look like. The next pillar is how to set budgets. So again, budgets is a very common question that we get. Often brands want our advice on how much they should set or how they should pace the budget. So what I want to cover essentially in this slide is to actually go through how to allocate your budgets. So first of all, we'll go through this as a summary. You've got your pure digital channels. You've got events, partners, affiliates, offline ads, online ads. As a marketing plan, or considering a marketing plan as a whole, you obviously have offline and online channels. So I'd firstly really suggest having a full holistic view of your marketing plan. If you've got a digital team, embed that with your communications and your PR team. So first, understand the overall budget and how you're going to split that, because although digital is trending, yes, it's becoming more and more popular, yes, offline marketing is still very important. Having events like these face-to-face, having the presence of your brand on a banner, being able to have conversations face-to-face is still very important. And even some of our top retail brands that we work with, although they're super active with us on social and digital, they still have brick and mortar stores because people want to go in, have the experience, feel the materials. So don't underestimate that and assume that everything's going to go 100% digital in the near future, because we still, as humans, want to have experiences, sensory experiences with the products that we buy, especially if they're of higher value. Going and spending 50 dirhams online is fine, but spending 5 to 10,000 dirhams on a product online, highly unlikely. You might find it online, but you'll go into store to check that it actually looks and feels what you want it to look and feel before making that investment. So first of all, understand overall what your budget is offline and online, and then really work back on investing in different channels. There's no formula for what will work for you. And even with brands that we've worked with who have lots of historical data, the algorithms are always changing, consumer behaviors are always changing. So all you can do is test, and it's about testing and looking at the data. Running Instagram ads, Facebook ads, Google ads at low volume, and really assessing what you get out of it. Which ads are performing well, which are not. Which ads are generating more awareness or more purchases, and which are not. And over time, you will start to understand which channels you shouldn't be investing in and can delete, and which ads and channels you should be investing in, and then you'll end up putting more budgets towards that. So it's not about splurging necessarily. It's about being strategic and being open to testing different platforms. And it's really those brands that then have tailored plans due to testing that do well. So expecting a black and white answer is not going to happen. And the best marketing teams you'll have will be the ones who come in, whether it's an agency or a freelancer or in-house, will be the ones who are constantly testing. Testing channels, but also testing content. Video content, be static content, what type of communication works. The last slide is your digital team structure. So again, understanding who to hire and who not to hire. I can actually break this down quite simply for you in that if you are a very, very big brand with multiple subsets or multiple subsidiaries, it makes sense for you to hire in-house because you can hire a full digital team and they can obviously manage those various subsidiaries. If you're a standalone brand, to invest a full team into managing that brand would be more expensive than outsourcing. So essentially just look at your commercials as a business to understand, are you a holding company or a group with, over 8 brands to handle, or do you only have 1 or 2? In which case, investing in an in-house social media manager, graphic designer, Google Ads manager, SEO specialist makes no sense. It's going to cost you more than outsourcing. So very simply put, that's what we would suggest as a strategy if you're thinking about how that team should look like. Secondly, there's a lot you can learn from outsourcing and then eventually take in-house. So at least for the foundations, to understand what your channels should be, who your personas are, more from a strategy point of view. It is good to outsource even to a freelancer, if not an agency, for the expertise, and then bring it in-house when it just comes to execution a year later and to continue the workflow. So yeah, that's a wrap now. I think it's been 20 minutes. Does anyone have any last minute questions before we finish up? No questions? Okay.
Come on, let's ask Alyssa some questions. It's all about getting the insights and the answers.
Yes.
So I believe that was a very good introduction to the next panel discussion. We do have a question there from...
Hi. So in terms of B2B, when you try to...
Wait, the mic is coming to you.
Hi. So
Yes.
my question is about building personas. So
Sure.
in terms of when you're targeting B2B, it's going to be the persona of the person that you're actually targeting in that organization. So it could be a procurement guy, or it could be the person running the business.
Yes.
Would it be dependent on them, and you build your persona around them and then target your marketing around that?
Exactly. So if you're targeting procurement, for example, have a think about what else they do apart from you trying to reach out to them on LinkedIn? Do they go to certain events? Are they friends with other departments? What appeals to them? Do they go to certain seminars or summits? So try to create an overall, give a personality to that procurement manager and think of what a day in the life of being that procurement manager is like and what that entails. And that will really, really help you understand where else to target them. Because LinkedIn they might ignore, they're getting spammed all the time, but an event they might not. Or at a coffee shop they might not. So really have a think about where else you can find your target market and engage with them, as opposed to the obvious, which is what everyone's using to target them.
So this would also include what they do outside their professional life, for example.
Exactly, that's really important. And in fact, when you're targeting someone outside of their professional life, they tend to be more relaxed and open to reading messages or open to receiving a cold call or a cold email, because they're not in that stressful environment of being at work or being in the office. So it's also more effective at getting their attention because you're approaching them at a right time, as opposed to when all of your competitors are trying to approach them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Alyssa.
much.
A round of applause to Alyssa, please.